to Roosevelt Live. This segment of the show we're going to talk about, I know people think we're repeating a lot of things, but it may sound like that from time to time, being that we're in a presidential election or re-election year, depends on how you're looking at it. I know this week the president, I guess, officially kicks off his campaign. I think he's going to be in Ohio, starting to try to rally his base. I know that Mitt Romney and I know that Newt Gingrich this week spending his campaign, of course, and now I guess he'll be backing Mitt Romney in some way. He haven't said he was, but he's kind of talking kind of sideways. I think the overall debate they had through the primaries has caused a lot of backlash and problems for people, and a lot of people's feelings have been trampled on, and they're having a hard time. Some of them are rallying around and behind Mitt Romney. I think it's because they don't consider him a true conservative, more of a moderate, and I think that's bothering a lot of the base. But at the end of the day, he is the only one that's going to be running for president on the Republican side. Now, I've heard people say and rumor and mumble about maybe a third party. Who would that hurt? Man, it could hurt a lot of people, because the Republicans need the base in order for them to try to, move the incumbent president out and get an opportunity to go in there and Mitt Romney take over the presidency. So clearly, as we listen to people talking about getting on the ballot in different states, people talking about running. We saw this thing with the Ross Perot thing several years back, where the third party tried to run. It's hard to run another party in this country that would get any actual traction. If the third party does run again, I don't know when they would actually take place, because clearly so we're 6 months out basically, and it's kind of late for someone getting in the game trying to create a third party. I heard about this several months ago, that people were getting on the ballot, they said, in all 50 states, and that they were going to be ready to run an alternative to the Democrat and Republican Party. Well, that might hurt the Republicans, it might hurt the Democrats, it might hurt both parties at the end of the day, but only time will tell what will happen if that does take place. All I know is that at this point, people are drawing lines in the sand. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of money being spent. There's a lot more money going to be spent. The super PACs, I believe personally, is a negative. That's just my opinion. I know the president now has, the last several months, has tried to, walk it back and get a little super PAC money going, because I think his administration saw that this new system that's in place, where people can come out and don't have to identify themselves and can pour as much money into anybody's campaign that they want to, without any hesitation, any problems. And you have to ask yourself, just common sense, and that's from any part. If someone is willing to spend, $15 million Allison spent on Newt Gingrich, and he didn't have a chance in hell of winning. Imagine the amount of monies that would be put in behind Mitt Romney from some of these same people that will spend a lot of money. And who knows, some people may spend hundreds of millions of dollars. But you have to ask yourself at some point, if someone is willing to put that much money on an individual basis into someone's campaign, what are they looking for? What do they want? Do they want a seat on their cabinet somewhere? Do they want to give some type of title? Do they want some type of legislation passed that favors them? I mean, people might say that happens every day. You always got people out there, lobbying for different things. Yeah, that's a different situation when you start talking about dropping millions of dollars into someone's campaign. You want them to say certain things, you want them not to say certain things. I mean, what do you want the people to do? And that's what concerns me. I would hope after this election that this type of out of control money raising, fundraising thing is be repealed. I hope so, because I think I believe we should go back to the ways it was before people could do all these crazy things that they're doing now. But it might be here to stay. We never know. We'll have to find out after this election whether or not it's going to be the new future. Because if it is the new future, we think we saw problems before. You can only imagine what the problems would be. Only the people that can afford to have the backing. You have to be in someone's pocket then. If you're going to get someone to spend millions of dollars in your campaign, then you got to be saying or doing or promising something that they want you to say, do, or promise. And then the question is the candidate being bought and purchased and delivered before he or she becomes the president. That's what we have to concern ourselves with. That's what I would concern myself with. But at the end of the day, it's going to be to each his own, and you never know what route this kind of situation is gonna probably going to occur in these strange ways of fundraising. I knew that there would be a difference in the fundraising after the 2008 election. After President Obama raised some $750 million, I knew then that the fundraising would definitely change. When he was able to outspend John McCain, that took the money from the government to run his campaign, and Barack Obama did not. He chose to go out there online and raise money and raise a whole bunch of it. I knew that this election would be different, because that would never be allowed. That was never going to happen again. That's my thing was. The rules are going to change in the middle of the game. They always do. When people see that they're losing, people make adjustments. We all do with human beings. But in this case, the Supreme Court the one to make these adjustments. And I think it's political, but that's my opinion. I mean, I believe the best man or woman that's running for president should win. I do believe that people should give to campaigns. I don't believe that people should be allowed to give millions of dollars and then don't have to disclose who gave the money. I mean, if that's the case, can people from other countries give the money? Can people from other countries then give money to our candidates because they want to have better trade with them? I mean, hey, after all, no one has to reveal who's giving them the money. So I think this is a very dangerous president that should be changed immediately and repealed. But that's my opinion, of course. I can't make anybody do anything that they don't want to do. I'm definitely not a member of the Supreme Court. I don't even believe the Supreme Court should have lifetime jobs. Personally, I think it's insane, because these people get in there and get, they get of age, and I don't know if they're as coherent as they should be, and they are making their final decision sometimes. And we have a huge one coming in June with the health care plan. And if it gets repealed, a lot of people are going to lose. And if it upholds, a lot of people are going to feel like they lost. From a personal standpoint, all I can say is that I'm glad to hold my son on my health care insurance. I'm glad that he, at 20 years old and still in college, is covered if anything major happens to him. I'm glad to know that. I'm glad to know when he graduates another 18 months or so from now, or 2 years from now, that he doesn't have to worry about having a lapse in medical insurance, at least at this point anyway. If it gets repealed, and that part gets repealed, what will we do? We'll have to figure out something, because he'll then be 20 years old with no medical coverage. And if he's out of a job because he hadn't started working yet, then he have no coverage at all. I don't know how that's going to help, because that means if something goes wrong, he's going to have to go to the emergency room. If he goes to the emergency room, he's going to run up a major bill. Run up a major bill, and it's going to just ruin his life, his credit, or wind up never paying the bill and just put it back on the hospital. And it's just an ongoing, repetitive cycle that never stops. That's just my opinion. But staying on the path of the president for a few moments, I remember, several weeks ago, I started thinking how bad this campaign is going to be, how the lines in the sand is going to be drawn. They're going to be deep lines in the sand. Matter of fact, they're not even lines in the sand anymore. It's an old cliche. I think they're lines in the concrete, because people are getting out of control. And I looked at the Ted Nugent thing several weeks ago, and thinking about what he said, and thinking about the statements he made about the president being a criminal, and I mean, some of this stuff is just way, way over the top. And I don't know how. Well, he was speaking at NRA at that moment, but I don't know how anybody can even want this guy's endorsement. I mean, it's one thing, I must keep on saying it. It's one thing to not like Mitt Romney, think that he's not the best person for the presidency. It's one thing to not like President Obama and think that he's not the best person for the presidency in the next 4 years. But there's a whole other animal when you start saying things like the president's a criminal, when you start saying that if the president is reelected in November, that you're going to be either dead or in jail. I mean, what are these threats? What does that mean? And I know the FBI had to go and visit him and question him. It's not like he's going to tell the FBI that I'm threatening the president. He's not going to say it. Even if he wasn't going to say it to the FBI. He'd just say, no, I didn't mean anything by that. I was just firing up the crowd. I was just getting everybody. If you got to fire up the crowd by saying that you'll be dead or in jail this time in November, if the president becomes president again, then that's more than firing up a crowd. That's inciting, I believe, some person that's already on the edge and go and try and do something to the president. I mean, it's somewhat absurd to make these statements, to talk about the people on the Supreme Court and to say how these people are vile and evil and just all kinds of cuckoo things. And now, his camp says that Mitt Romney was asking him for an endorsement. I don't know what Mitt Romney would need an endorsement from Ted Nugent. I don't get their connection. I don't know how they are connected in any way. Maybe, Ted Nugent have money, I guess, but I can't see. Those people don't look like they should be connected to one another, but I don't know. They say he gave his endorsement. He said his camp said they courted him to get it. They say it didn't happen. Of course they're gonna say that when you start making asinine statements, and you seem to be somewhat off your rocker with some of these statements. Not saying that you are, but when you start saying you might go to jail or be dead, no one really knows what that means. We can read a lot into it, but what are you actually saying? These things are serious issues. I mean, you even look at the Bin Laden letters, where they found that he was planning to assassinate the president. I mean, these things are crazy. I mean, this guy was dead serious. People trying to look like, hey, no big deal. It is a big deal. He wanted President Obama assassinated for whatever reason he thought was good for him, which was crazy, but the president and the SEAL Team 6 and all the intelligence and everything that we had, I wouldn't say beat him to the punch, because I don't think he would have ever gotten to the punch, but we definitely silenced him forever. Let's put it that way. Him personally, forever. And he deserved it at the end of the day. And that's just the way it goes. I mean, in the next several months, we're going to hear a lot of stuff going on from both sides of the arena. As an independent voter, clearly, some people might say, I think that I'm obviously leaning Democrat all the time, and somehow I'm a closet Democrat, or whatever they may say. That's not actually true. But because, again, I'm pretty much straight down the middle. Some things I definitely do not like. Some of the things that the president is doing and has done. That's not a negative on the president. It's a state of fact. Just like it was a state of fact when I supported at times in my life on Republican candidates. It's some of the stuff that they would say and do that I didn't like. Because no one likes everything that a candidate is doing. The question is, does the majority of the things that they're doing, does it benefit you in a personal way? And I'm the type of guy that looks at the issues and see how does it affect me. First of all, family-wise, personally, and then business side. Because that's what it's all about for me. They're one, two. Family, then business. They're one, two. So that's how I look at the whole issue myself. As far as who am I supporting and who am I not supporting. I just like to keep things real. I always say this show is fair and balanced. As far as I'm concerned, I'm fair and I'm balanced. Now, I'm sure that people that disagree with that, but that's okay. They're entitled to their opinions, and I'm entitled to my opinions. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the same thing. Who are you going to vote for? We've been running this show, this information here. Maybe some days we'll start off with it, some days we'll be in the middle, and some days we'll end with it. But it's still going to come down to the same thing. There's nothing else going to be talked about in any networks, on any news in the next 6 months other than who's going to be president. Will it be President Obama? Will it be Mitt Romney? That's what it's going down to the end of the day. I'm just a little bit concerned because I'm worried that so much has been put into defeating the president now. There was this book out that's been written. I don't recall the name of it now, but I saw it. I saw this story a couple different times in the last several weeks. That on the inauguration night, when the president was being inaugurated, within 4 hours, while the inauguration was actually still going on, there were people meeting and plotting and planning to derail the presidency in any way they possibly could. I mean, you go out there and look it up online. Because, like I said, I don't remember the name of the book, but I remember some of the players that were at the meeting. And when I think back to the president and how the president tried to work with Congress, how the president tried to work, trying to make things, bipartisan, tried to do the things the right way, tried to join the two parties together to hope to have some resolution. And of course, in his mind at the time, I believe it was a little bit naive that he thought that there were people out there that wanted to put America first. Clearly, if there's a group of people meeting the night of the inauguration, deciding all the things they wasn't going to do to help push the presidency forward, that they were trying their best to stifle the presidency at the same time hurting America. Some 300 plus million people was going to be hurt by these decisions that a few people were making in a room to correlate the coalition together to decide the president was not going to be successful. Because they didn't want him to be successful, because they didn't want him to run again. And clearly, in my opinion, he didn't even get they wouldn't even give him a chance. It's not like they said, okay, we're going to look with 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, a year or two down the road, things ain't working right. We need to coalesce together and try to decide how we're gonna, stop this train from running out of control. No, they were already talking about the issues 4 hours into the inauguration on how they would be able to prevent the president from getting any. Basically, the bottom line was, don't pass anything that's going to be in favor. Don't help him in any way that's going to create jobs. Don't help him in any way that's going to get this economy back running. Don't help in any way that's going to make him look, or this country look successful. Because if the country looks successful, then the president will look successful. If the president looks successful, the president get reelected. If the president get reelected, we're not happy. So we are running the risk of ruining some 300+ million people, family, life, personal situation, jobs, houses, everything, in order for a handful of people that wasn't happy about an election. Then they should have done a better job in 2008 to make sure that the Republicans got back in the White House. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. So I am a little concerned that if there's any validity to that book that was written, and it seems to be, from what I'm hearing in different news organizations that's talking about this, it seemed to be that these people are not denying these conversations took place. And you got to remember. You got to remember at all times what is being said. As the speaker, I'm not sure the speaker of the House is a bad person. Sometimes he pretends to be, but some of his counterparts over there clearly says, hey, the only reason you're there is to make sure that the president don't get a second term. What about going into Congress and trying to make sure that we get jobs, trying to make sure the housing market turns around, trying to make sure that unemployment rate goes down, trying to make sure that kids get better education? Not to say that the only thing I'm here for is to make sure, and I'm paraphrasing, that the president doesn't get a second term. It's insane. That's people taking things on a personal level to a point that it shouldn't be taken to, in my opinion. I think it's outrageous and ludicrous for someone to say that. But that happens every day. But, at the end of the day, it's still going to be what it is. Get out, people. Do what I say every week. Get out and vote. I just keep repeating this. This election is very important. Irregardless of which side you may fall on, the election is important. If you're a Republican, if you're an independent, or if you're a Democrat, whichever one of the people you think is the best for the job, I urge you to get out and support that candidate. Get out and do it. Get out and vote. Get out and get your friends and your families, everybody, get out and do the right thing to try to reserve whatever you think, or preserve whatever you think you should preserve in this country that you think benefits you directly, or even in some cases indirectly. I can't tell anybody who to vote for. I'm not trying to. But I will continue to sit on this show, Roosevelt Live, and offer my opinions. And continue to sit here and talk about what I think is just blatant, crazy, and sometimes downright disrespect and downright idiotic things that are going on. But I guess that's what happened. Who's going to want to be president after this term? Because if this is the new way that we pick a president, then it's sad. Absolutely sad. I always get me back on my email, liveroosevelt@gmail.com. Like I say, go out there and check out segments of the show. We got several new videos out there. YouTube.com/Roosevelt Live. We come on every Wednesday, 6:30. It repeats itself again on Fridays at 6:30. If you're a Bright House subscriber, channel 949, 950. You're a Verizon person, channel 3036. And Comcast, I think it's still channel 20. Go out there and check it out for yourself. The TBCN is a good network to be involved with, station to be involved with, and continue to be on here and do what I do. And I keep giving props to the people over there because they've been very nice and helpful in every way, shape, or form. You can ask for a better crew. Anytime they tolerate and have to plug into me on Wednesdays and listen to the things I say, I got to get them a special hands up every week when I get an opportunity to. But I'm Roosevelt. I'm your host, Roosevelt Live.